Hi, everyone, and welcome to the End of Life Journey and Beyond the Sands of Time. My name is Lisa Strahs-Lorenc, and I'm a Bereavement Support Specialist. And I'm here with Susan. Hi, Susan. Always good to see you.
Hi, Lisa, and hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Susan Capurso, end of life doula and legacy specialist.
So, Susan, I think she's frozen. Um, so we have a little technical difficulties here, but I guess she will be back. And in the meantime, I want to introduce.
Ceremony that
Okay, there we are.
we,
Okay. You were frozen for a little while. Why don't you go back a little bit? Go
oh,
ahead.
okay, okay.
Go ahead.
I don't know, it's windy, I guess.
Sure.
Um, but it's a ceremony that dedicates and reveals the headstone, as far as I know. I haven't been to any myself, which is surprising in my book. Um, but it's a key part of the mourning process to do this about a year later. It takes place about a year after burial, if I'm correct, Lisa.
It is.
So I know we had done a little research about this, and I'd like you to start us off today with I know you have stories of your own regarding the unveiling, and it's really an interesting topic. I want to apologize in advance to anybody if we get anything off a little bit off. It's just because Lisa and I are in the learning process, as we hope you are as well. So, welcome, Lisa. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so we had a little technical difficulty. I want to make sure everybody heard. So this was topic was about first anniversaries, and there is a tradition in the Jewish faith about unveiling. And it is a really interesting tradition. And I will tell you that probably 3 weeks ago, I did go to the unveiling of my cousin's headstone. So it is a gravesite ceremony, and it dedicates the headstone or the monument of the deceased. And it's a beautiful ceremony. So it's really all about honoring that person and coming together again. And that first year is very significant. When we think back, I mean, you and I are widows, when we think back about that first year, we're sort of in a haze. We're trying to figure out sort of how to live, and paperwork is crazy. Some of us don't even remember that first year. It's sort of a blur. But by the second year, we realize that our lives are different, that they'll never be the same again. And this ceremony is a really wonderful way to bring people back together again. So at the ceremony, and we all got together again, and there was a rabbi. Sometimes there is, and sometimes there isn't. Sometimes you do your own ceremony. Sometimes there are prayers that are said, different kinds of prayers and all. And then the opportunity for people to get up and talk about their remembrances. And a number of people did that for my cousin, which was really wonderful. A nice opportunity again to remember and honor that person. The unveiling itself is a really nice, it's really interesting how that stone is covered with a cloth or something, and then it's picked up and everybody sees the name of that person and what is written on that stone. So the symbolic part of it, of course, is the finality of seeing that, the permanence of the loss, revealing the monument, and seeing the names etched in stone. It's very powerful, but it's very
Lisa,
humbling. Yeah,
can
sure.
I interrupt you?
Sure.
So I have two questions for you. First, was this the first time you've been to an unveiling?
No. I've been to
Oh, okay.
many
So you've been
neighborhoods.
to several
Yes, I
others in
have.
the past.
I have.
I have not. So that's good to know. Um, and the second question is, so has nobody, family and friends don't go and visit the stone in the prior year? Is this the first time or
Right,
just the
right.
event that
So,
signifies?
right, right. So supposedly the mourning period is that first year. And so people are really not supposed to go yet. However, many people do because they find comfort in going there, and all. But the official stone is not revealed until that first year, official first year. That's just the tradition. And again, people do whatever they feel is right for them in their own way. But it does complete the mourning process, and after a year, symbolically, you're supposed to move on with your life, and
That's tough.
that is very tough. That is very tough. And everybody we know does that differently. But what's really nice is that it honors the memory of that person. Again, they speak about the person, family and friends and all. The gravesite is marked then, and it's just a really nice tradition. So it's a gathering, and then after that ceremony, we always, I've never been to where you just leave, everybody leaves. We always have a luncheon. And some are more formal than others. What's nice about this luncheon is that my cousin's husband picked a place that they love. They always went to this place to eat. And so everybody knows him there. He's gone there many times. And we had a separate room. So we were probably about 40 people, and it was more formal. I mean, he had everybody sitting at certain tables and all, but that was his choice. And he did get up and thank everybody for coming. And so all that whole luncheon thing was just such a beautiful way of coming together again, talking about the memories we have of her, and being together. It's that really beautiful togetherness. And that first year thing. People have said to me in groups, after the first year, the reality and the finality is very, very clear. Person is not coming back.
Right,
And so now it's like a signal for people. Now, what do we want to do with our lives? And people do
right.
make changes, a lot of changes in their lives in the second year. They do feel differently. And they even decide, well, maybe I should travel a little bit, or maybe I should sell my house, or maybe I should meet other people. I mean, there's some really interesting things that happen to people. It's like an awakening. So it's really nice to have a tradition like this because it brings that it sort of accelerates that. It says, hey, this is the finality of that 1 year of quote mourning time. And here we all are together again. So I like that.
As as we've spoken before, I think when that initial shock process, right, kind of subsides a little bit after one
Yes,
year,
yes,
right? We can both say that. I love this, and I feel like it should be a part of everybody's life, just not the Jewish tradition.
yes, me
You
too.
know, this is beautiful.
Me too. Me too. And I was reading some of the other traditions because, we always put stones. We don't do flowers, but we always put stones on the grave. And I always wondered what this whole thing with the stones was. And I read
I've seen
about it.
that before, and I didn't
Yeah.
understand
Well,
myself.
here it is. Apparently, it's to have originated from the biblical custom of marking graves with piles of stones, and the stones signify that a visitor was there, and that the memory of the deceased endures. And that's true because when I go back to my parents' graves, I see lots of stones, and I know that people were there. So it's an interesting tradition. And there are a lot of traditions that people that they find comfort in, that it's a way of moving, a way of honoring, and a way of continuing the memory of somebody. I love that. I love the date. And then, of
I
course,
love it too.
every year, by the way, there's a yard side candle. It's a 24-hour candle, and it's either on the Hebrew date of that person's death, or it's on the, Gregorian calendar of that person's death. And so for 24 hours, that candle burns. There is a prayer that's said. It's called the Kaddish prayer that's said. And that's a day of remembrance. This is, so we all do different things on that day, that birth death day. Um,
Where is the candle?
so the candle can be put anywhere you want.
Oh, in
Wherever
your
you want.
home.
So in your home. Oh yeah, in your home. Now
I
some
see.
people go to temple and they do, Kaddish at the temple. There's services and stuff which do that. You stand up and you say this prayer. And I will refer, by the way, in case people are wondering all about this, in Yentl, which is such a beautiful movie, Barbara Streisand's movie, one of my favorites. She does do a Kaddish after her father died. And in that tradition, way, way back, many, many years ago, women and girls were not allowed to say the Kaddish. But she does for her father, who was a rabbi. And it's really interesting. She wears black and she wears a ribbon over her, which is torn. That's another tradition. So again, I'm here to say that there are a lot of different things that people can do, but that first anniversary is very significant. because it is an awakening. It is a time where you say, it's been a year. And now I'm going into another phase maybe of this, time of not having that person around anymore. So,
Yeah, and I think it's really, really important, Lisa. And my journey into end of life began with my husband and then 14 additional people. However, with him, uh, it really shook us up. He was so young and unexpected. So that's something that I did not do after the first year. I mean, I'm not Jewish, right? But I could have done something, right? So even if we're not Jewish, that's what I'm taking
right.
away from
That's right.
this.
That's
I
right.
could have done something.
That's right.
Um, his sister at the time wasn't uh, concerned with a more somber come back to the house and get together. She wanted a big party and a big restaurant. And I said, well, then you do it. I'm not doing it because do I have regrets about that? A little bit, maybe he was full of laughter, and sense of humor. So maybe that could have helped that day and that memory be a little bit better than just a few select, family members coming back to the house. Um, I just felt, he knew a lot of people. There were 800 people that came in and out of that funeral, and I didn't feel that I wanted to be around all them in a party at that moment. Okay, so that's how I did it. But having now look back, because now this was 11 years ago
Mm,
already, and it feels like it went like that, by the
yes.
way.
Yes.
I wish that I did something like this a year later, because a year later I was more ready to do something like this, and I do wish it was something, and he was cremated and there isn't a stone, but it doesn't matter. There's
Yes.
still something that I could have done that was a little bigger, with extended family and friends, and I didn't.
You know what? It's so easy to be the Monday morning quarterback here. And so we can only do what we're capable of doing at the time,
Right.
and what
Exactly.
feels right for us. And so wishes and shoulds and all those things, don't really fit into any of our lives. The only thing that we can do is how we are at the time and then how we move forward. You know,
Yeah.
my husband was cremated, and so I didn't do an unveiling or anything like that. But every year I honor his memory and I do something that has significance for me. And, that's the date of death thing, which we have spoken about before. But I think people have to find what the meaning is for them and how it fits into their lives. I was just talking to my cousin who is the son of the cousin who died. And he spoke to me because our high holy days are coming up on it's Yom Kippur. That is the most holy day of the year in the Jewish tradition. And it's the day of reckoning, and it's the day where people fast and they think about their sins and all that stuff. And so he was talking because it'll be the first time that he goes into a specific service. It's called the Yiska service. And this service is for everyone who has died, the martyrs and everybody. And it's a very solemn and most kids aren't even in that ceremony. However, in the service. However, I always was because my mother died when I was 2, and my father always brought me to that service. So I was one of the few children who was always at that service. And it was just one of these solemn occasions where we honor everybody who's gone, and it's just a very, a very intense kind of service. And he asked me about it, and I just explained to him that, sometimes as we're getting up to that date or getting up to that event, and it's always, and we've talked about this, it's always the anticipation of it, not the same day. We worry about the birthday, or we worry about the anniversary and stuff. And it's what's coming as opposed to what happens during it. He'll get through it. And he's, we talked about legacy and we talked about all the wonderful things that she was, to me as a cousin, as a friend, and of course, the influence, in his life and how and carrying on her traditions and her love of Israel and her love of, the religion and all. And, he does that. So, we all find our way of honoring people, but that first year is so, that after first year thing is so significant because it does change how we look at things. We
It
are
sure
in a blur.
does.
Whereas no question, we're in a blur that first year. We are.
Just from hearing this today, it helps me to believe that. In my situation, that's a little too late now. But you know what I'm questioning in my mind? Um, Maybe it wasn't right for me, okay, but should it have been something I did for my children? I mean, my two boys, would this have been really right for them?
I
To
I'd rather think about what's right for them now. How do we continue to honor our loved ones each year, the people who were part of our lives, and how do we keep them there? And we've talked about how important it is to keep their legacy alive. We've talked about how we talk about them. I talk about my husband with my grandchildren all the time. Grandpa Fred would have loved this, and Grandpa Fred did this, and we I try to keep him real in their lives. They never even met him, whereas your boys knew, their father.
have
Um,
a history, right?
yeah, yeah. So to me, it's encouraging them to keep their father in their lives.
Yeah,
That's really the key, So
yeah,
as the years go by, it dims, memories dim and all. But our job, and all those who love people, is to keep the memories alive and to keep the things that they did. The granddaughter of my cousin went to Israel, and it was the same time as this unveiling thing, and she went to the wall, and you put a note and stuff in the wall, and and honored her grandmother, who, as I said, went to Israel a lot and was very active. So she did something that was very symbolic of the relationship and what meant something to her grandma. I think that's wonderful. And that's really what this is about. And then, of course, the difficulties of the first birthday, the first anniversary, first everything. And even all the bittersweet things that both of us are going through in our lives to move on and to continue our lives without the people who we thought would be part of our lives. So,
right.
whatever traditions people have, they need to nourish them. They need to continue them. They need to not put them aside and say, oh, well, I don't need to do that, or I don't have to worry about that. Because what you're doing is you're wiping away that person. And that person needs to continue, however it is, however they feel. That person needs to still be they're part of us. They're part of our lives. And so the unveiling thing is just a really beautiful way and a beautiful tradition, but I encourage people to find those traditions and find the things that have meaning to them in their lives so that they continue the beautiful legacy. That's what really our lives are about. What we
Yeah,
what we now bring forward in the future for our generations that's why you do incredible legacy work, Susan.
yeah,
You know, to
yeah.
be remembered.
And I do see it a little differently today. And how many videos have we done on celebrations of life and different things and traditions? But I am seeing it a little differently today, speaking about the unveiling. So, my husband's favorite was Chinese food. So every year on his birthday, that's all he ever
Love
wanted
it.
to do was let's have Chinese food. So it was a big thing. So now over the last decade, we either do or we don't. It depends on who's around, which sun's out, or we do. Um, but it hasn't been a solid every year gathering. So I think this February I can do that, and bring out pictures and tell stories and invite my nieces and nephews as well. And we can just have a dinner dedicated to him. I think
Nice.
that would be really nice.
I love that. So that's his
Yeah.
birthday. That's his birthday time.
February 9th is
My
his birthday.
my
And then he
birthday's
turns,
February 10th. So fellow
I didn't realize that.
Aquarian. Wow, I didn't know that either.
And he passed on St. Patrick's
I know
Day,
that. I know.
which I thought that, and I was right over the years because of the ages of my sons. That got a little more difficult to celebrate that day. So everybody kind of is with their friends and doing their own thing, and that's okay.
Sure.
That's okay. But I think the birthday celebration is a good idea.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
So the message for everybody is to find the meaning and to find
Right. And
what
to find your own.
that's right, to find your own, whatever that is, through religion, through spiritual, through emotional, through anything that has important significance to you,
That's right.
your family, to your friends. Yeah, and we keep that memory going forever.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So we're not going to keep you too long
Yep.
today. This was a
Yep.
little bit shorter video, which Lisa and I are trying to do, but we have a hard time doing that. But lastly, I just want to mention a new project that I'm working on, and then Lisa has a new project as well.
Okay.
So in less than 30 seconds, we'll let you know. Mine is the legacy interview. It's not so much the book, but it's even more fun because everything's on video and audio in the raw, and all of your siblings get a flash drive with this legacy interview. My face is not in it, just your parent or grandparent by themselves, and it's a lot of fun. So contact me at any of the information above, and I'll tell you more about that. I'd love to chat with you. And Lisa, your new project.
Nice. So my new project. So everybody knows me as doing careers and doing bereavement, but I'm also a grandparent. And my grandchildren and I decided to do a project together because we've been doing long distance and in-person relationship for many years now. And we think we have a lot of great ideas. So we put together a really great resource, a great website that I'm launching officially tomorrow. You will see, you can actually search by long distance or by in-person, and it's also by age. So you have baby, you have a toddler, you can search by age, and we have a lot of good ideas, all free. If you do decide you want to subscribe, there's a nominal fee, and the subscription will entitle you to join groups. We have a few groups, so you can communicate with each other and also get monthly new activities by holidays, by season, and by all kinds of ideas. We have so many ideas. I used to be a teacher, Susan. I don't know if you know that, but I was a teacher, and
Mhm.
I love all kinds of creative things. So I'm very excited about the site. And
And
until
more importantly, it's become a passion almost with you and your grandchildren, and you're glowing. That's
yeah,
all I want to tell you.
thank you.
I've started a new hobby that's helping me to glow as well. I'll tell you more about that in the coming months.
Wow.
But for today, we want to thank you very much for coming. If you have any comments of your own about unveilings, we'd love to hear it. Put your comments below or share our page. Follow our page with a friend even who may find one of our end of life videos really pertinent to their own lives.
And one more suggestion. We're
Yeah,
always open to topics. We've covered a lot of topics. I think
we
over
have.
155 videos maybe in 3 years. We are pretty active people and we come up with a lot of good things, guests included. So
Right.
if you
We're
have,
always looking for guests, so if you have any suggestions, reach out as well.
that's right. That's right.
So for now, we'll talk to you all next week.
Yep.
Thank you very much
Yep.
for
Thank you.
tuning in today. And Lisa,
Yep.
have a
Just
wonderful week.
you too. Take good care. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.